So after some delay, finally my list of the best and worst films of 2015. Still not as late as last year. Number 10, Turbo Kid. Turbo Kid's an independent film from New Zealand. It's a post-apocalyptic, I guess you could say comic book style movie. Now, it's not a superhero movie. It's basically revolving around this kid who is traveling through the post-apocalyptic wastelands on a bike, and he's fighting against this evil overlord, played by the always incredible Michael Ironside. You know right away that the movie's going to be awesome because they open with Thunder in Your Heart from Rad. The kid's traveling through the wasteland on his bike, and while he's out there, he runs into this girl named Apple. And Apple is really weird, but she steals the show. She grows on you as the film progresses. Because initially I'm watching it and I'm like, oh God, this girl, I don't know. And then as it goes on, you just absolutely fall in love with her because she's so amazingly weird with this big goofy smile. She ended up taking the movie to a whole other level. It has this really lighthearted feel to it, but then it will get into ridiculous amounts of blood and gore and taking it to like cartoonish levels of violence. There's a little more CGI blood than I would have liked, but its heart was in the right place, and it was just a really good time. Number 9, Bone Tomahawk. Bone Tomahawk is one of a few movies that made my list of movies that I had very little to no interest in initially, and then I had so many people telling me, no, you have to check this out, these movies are great, and turns out they were right. The thing with Bone Tomahawk was I'm not really into Westerns, so I figured I would see it, but I wasn't in any particular hurry. And when I did see it, I was blown away. I knew Kurt Russell was going to be awesome, but I wasn't expecting the movie as a whole to really be as good as it was. Kurt Russell plays the sheriff in this small town, and there's a guy who's passing through who had stirred up some trouble with a group of local cannibalistic cave dwellers. It sounds silly, but it works much better within the movie, trust me. The cannibals come looking for the guy, but they end up kidnapping some of the other people in town, so the sheriff puts together a rescue team to go get them. It's a very simplistic story, but it's told magnificently well. You've got some terrific acting, again, from Kurt Russell. Patrick Wilson was great. Matthew Fox was outstanding. He was so good, I didn't even know it was him. Not that he's ever been particularly bad. Well, there was that Alex Cross movie that he was horrible in, but I don't really think that was his fault. I think it was just a shitty movie. But he was terrific in this. Just everything was good. It is very gruesome at certain points, but don't let that put you off. Seriously, great movie. Number 8, Kingsman. Kingsman's based off a Mark Millar comic series, and it's a completely over-the-top, super violent, super tongue-in-cheek goof, mostly parodying the James Bond spy thrillers. They actually even call it out at one point within the movie. It's about this kid named Eggsy who gets recruited into the Kingsman, and a good portion of the film is all of these different recruits that are being trained to learn to become one of the Kingsmen. And out of all of them, only one is going to actually be able to make it. Meanwhile, while all this is going on, you have Samuel Jackson, who's playing the super evil James Bond-ish villain, but completely lampooning it. He's playing this brilliant techno-savvy guy, and he's got this super heavy lisp. You could tell that Samuel Jackson was having just a blast playing the character. Number 7, Creed. As I said with Bone Tomahawk, this is another movie that I initially wasn't all that into. I'm a big fan of the Rocky series. Being from Philadelphia, I think it's illegal to not like the Rocky series. And I thought that the ending in Rocky Balboa was perfect for the series. I thought it was a good way of bringing everything back around and making up for the complete mess that was Rocky V. So for them to do Creed, it just kind of felt off. Like, I was like, all right, well, now they're going to pass the Rocky torch onto Apollo Creed's kid. They're doing a spin-off of this. How is this going to work? And thankfully, due to an amazing script and 2 amazing performances, the movie was amazing. Michael B. Jordan's playing one of Apollo Creed's kids, and he's somebody who people don't know about in general. He's working an office job that he hates, and on the weekends, he's going down to Mexico and boxing illegally. Now, the thing is, he's going under Johnson because he didn't want people to know he was Apollo Creed's kid. He wanted to make it on his own. He didn't want to make it because he was using his father's name. He decides he wants to give it a shot and get into professional boxing because he's really good at it. He comes to Philadelphia and meets Rocky, and they sort of have a bond. Rocky feels a kinship to him because he's Apollo Creed's kid, and they kind of take it from there. I genuinely love the movie because they had just the right amount of reminiscing. They were bringing back things about the old movies, and they were reinvigorating it with this new kid who, throughout the course of the film, Creed kind of became the Rocky character, and Rocky became the Mickey character. They had a lot of throwbacks to the original movie. They had Creed chasing the chicken around. They ran up the art museum steps, and it just felt right. I was initially worried that it was just going to be a cash-in, but it totally wasn't. It felt 100% genuine. Number 6, The Gift. Yet again, another movie that I had no interest in, and then I saw it and it blew me away. The problem with this was the trailer I thought was mediocre, and then the poster art, it didn't really do anything for me, and I still don't think it does anything. It completely doesn't work with how good the movie is. Jason Bateman and Rebecca Hall are this couple that they're moving back to where he had grown up, and while they're moving into this new house, they run into this guy Gordo, who Simon, played by Jason Bateman, he was somebody who he used to go to school with. They invite him over for dinner, and it's clear that Gordo remembers way more about Simon than Simon remembers about Gordo. And honestly, I'm going to drop it there because the less you know about this movie, the better. It does not at all go in the ways that I was expecting. Don't read anything about it because more than likely, if you go somewhere, you're going to get it spoiled. It's nothing supernatural. It's nothing, no ghosts or anything are going to pop up. It's just a really well-told thriller. Number 5, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. We're really on Chapter 1 here. I think that with 8 and 9, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to come into play that are going to make 7 appear in a new light. Like once we get a little bit more into the characters of Rey and what Luke was going through in the time when he was away, I think that it's definitely going to make things seem a lot less than it being just a carbon copy of Episode 4. I am a big Star Wars fan, probably not as big as I was when I was younger, because it's just been so played out over the years. It's been rehashed to death, and there's so much just Star Wars everything that it kind of took a little bit of the sheen away from it for me. And with Episode 7, it did reignite that joy of Star Wars within me. I didn't expect it to. I was not entirely looking forward to it. Like, I was looking forward to it. I was like, okay, this will be cool. But I was not expecting it to, number 1, be as good as it was. And number 2, make me feel like a little kid again. Like, I was there and I'm watching it and I'm like, ooh, the lightsaber fights and seeing the old characters again, but with a new spin on things. And I just really enjoyed it. Things are going to play more into episodes 8 and 9. This is a series where we knew going in that it's going to be 3 movies. I think people were being a little too harsh judging some of the elements of this one without seeing the entire trilogy, because you're not seeing the whole story. You're just seeing a third of the story. Number 4, Crimson Peak. I love it when Guillermo del Toro does horror because he does it with such flair. This movie is absolutely beautiful, and I've had people question that. Beautiful? It's just an old house falling apart. But I'm talking about the beauty in decay. All the different colors, the red of the mud coming up through the floors, and then later in the film, when it started snowing, the red against the white of the snow. Oh, just gorgeous looking movie. It's about this girl who's an author, and she falls in love with this guy who was trying to get her father to invest in his mining operation. Meanwhile, the girl has the ability to see ghosts, and they're not haunting her per se, they're warning her. And after a horrible tragedy, she gets married to the guy, and they go and live in his house with his somewhat crazy sister. And while she's there, she's investigating, she's finding out more about what's going on. There's a mystery to unfold, but it's probably not exactly what you're expecting. An absolutely beautifully told gothic ghost story. Number 3, Ex Machina. A programmer who works for this eccentric multimillionaire gets picked to spend a week at this guy's house where he's doing all sorts of groundbreaking experiments on artificial intelligence. While he's there, he has to talk to this android, and the guy basically wants him to see if, while he's talking to the android, if he would be completely fooled that this thing was human. What a phenomenal movie. For the majority of the film, it's roughly four people in one location, but it's never boring. It's the guy interacting with the android, and some of the most amazing special effects I've ever seen. The way that they make her look, you would believe that he's really talking to an android. And the movie got an Oscar for Best Visual Effects. I agree 100%. The visuals were astonishingly good. But beyond that, the writing was incredibly smart. It was never even the tiniest bit boring. Just an amazing movie from start to finish. Blew me away. Number 2, Spring. Spring was a movie that had caught my eye because I thought the cover was really cool. And then I saw it was from the guys who wrote and directed Resolution, which was one of my favorite movies of a couple years ago. So I knew I had to check this out. I really wanted to see what else these guys had done. It did not disappoint. As good as Resolution was, Spring was even better. It's about this guy who's dealing with his sick mother. She's dying of cancer. And he has something happen where he decides he needs to just get away completely. He needs to escape from the US. So he books a flight and goes to Italy and just wants to kind of clear his head over there. So he gets over there. He has nowhere to stay. He has no itinerary or anything. And he just kind of starts picking up with various people and is traveling around. And while he's out there, he meets this mysterious girl who is absolutely stunning, and he decides that he wants to stay in this one particular town and see if he can get to know her a little bit better. Now, knowing me, you're probably thinking that this is horror. It's not. While watching the movie, you're going to think that you know what's going on, but you have no idea what's going on. You think you've got it figured out. You have no idea. And that's what I loved about it. This was some incredibly smart writing. There are horror elements of it, but it's not a horror movie. If anything, I would probably put it more as a mystery with romance in there. Don't read anything about it because it's going to be spoilers and fan theories and all that kind of stuff. But seriously, watch this movie. It's awesome. And my number 1 favorite movie of 2015, It Follows. This movie stuck with me for weeks. I could not stop thinking about it. There's a high school girl who she's involved with this guy, and things seem to be going along really well. And then all of a sudden, he has sex with her, and next thing you know, he's got her tied to a chair, and he's telling her that now she has this curse that no matter where she is, there's going to be something that only she can see that's slowly walking towards her. And if it gets her and gets a hold of her, it's going to kill her. So the only way for her to not die is to have sex with somebody else and pass it on to them. But the only problem is, if that person gets killed, then the follower will revert back to her and will just keep walking until it kills her and then keep going back down the line. Everything about this movie is perfect. It's very rare that a movie comes along where there's nothing that I would change. The acting in it was great. The soundtrack is so unbelievably good. It completely has that throwback to the old John Carpenter scores of the 80s. I actually bought it on vinyl because the band that did it, Disaster Piece, they had a release through this one company. They put it out on vinyl. You also got a MP3 copy. So I have this really beautiful blue It Follows vinyl that I'll probably never play because I don't have a record player. But it was just cool to have that. David Robert Mitchell's directing in this is so good. So many moments in the film where there's characters sitting around talking and you see people in the background. There's somebody just walking very slowly and you never know if that's the follower or if that's just somebody just walking. Then the ending is just perfect. The ending is absolutely perfect. I know some people bitched about it. You're wrong. The ending's perfect. The ending makes complete sense. It Follows is one of the best movies of the decade. I adored this movie. It was perfect. I would not change a single thing about it. I loved it. It's just an awesome, amazing, incredible, phenomenal film. I adored this movie. All right, that's my top 10. Let me get into some honorable mentions. We Are Still Here was a very well done, homespun ghost story. We Are Still Here, for the record, is number 11. That would have been in the top 10, but it just got inched out. Really good movie, though. I liked Krampus a lot, and I'm going to keep saying Krampus because the first time I heard it was here. Krampus! Krampus! And I've been saying it like that for 10 years. You try to say something different after 10 years. I still am not convinced that it's supposed to be Krampus. The Visit was a lot of fun. It was a very funny horror comedy. I would say probably more 60% comedy, 40% horror. Completely intentional. If you're saying, oh, it was an unintentional comedy. No, it wasn't. It was absolutely an intentional comedy. San Andreas was way better than I expected. My only gripe was there was some CGI that was a little too CGI-ish, but overall, some of the spectacles in it, some of the grandiose set pieces were incredibly impressive. Jurassic World was great. It did have a lot of parallels with the first Jurassic Park, but it still had enough to set it apart. It still was different. The Final Girls, I talked about this in my one video about it. I loved it. It had so much heart, but it just felt hindered by the PG-13 rating. It was this loving tribute to slasher movies of the 80s, and it felt neutered by having the PG-13 rating. It's still a terrific movie. It's still absolutely worth seeing, but I feel that it would have been an instant classic had they have gone for it. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. It's about this kid who befriends a girl who's dying of cancer. And him and his buddy Earl, they make these really bad short films that are spoofs on pre-existing films. As she's getting sicker, he's showing her the movies and it's making her feel better. And they develop this friendship and, it's just really good. And I'm going to put a caveat here because I know a lot of people are scratching their head, throwing their headphones in the air, yelling, going, where's Mad Max Fury Road? Why haven't you put Mad Max Fury Road as the number one movie of the year? What are all these other movies? And to be perfectly honest, Fury Road was a letdown. Now, I'm not being contrarian. I know a lot of people are probably going to say that, you're just doing that to be the too cool for the room guy. No! I love post-apocalyptic movies. If you've been a fan of this channel for a while, you should know that I talk incessantly about post-apocalyptic films, quite possibly as much, if not more, than horror. I mean, I did a whole big thing about Mad Max. I'm working on The Road Warrior and probably going to do one on Thunderdome at some point. And I love the Mad Max movies. They're terrific. They're some of my all-time favorite movies, post-apocalyptic or otherwise. And Fury Road had been so incessantly hyped. I was really excited. I was looking forward to it. I'm like, this is going to be terrific. We're going to see a gigantic, multi-million-dollar Mad Max movie. This is going to be awesome. And they, it's practical effects, and there's a guy playing a guitar that shoots fire and all this other stuff. And when I finally saw it, I was underwhelmed. It did nothing for me, which bothered me. I mean, it got so oversold at being the greatest thing in the history of ever that I was just expecting the second coming of Christ. And I thought it was like, okay. I thought, the visuals were fantastic. There were some amazing practical effects. They did some really incredible stuff. I liked the characters in it. I thought that Charlize Theron was great. Tom Hardy was a good Mad Max Mel replacement. I thought he did a good job in the role, but it was empty. I saw it in the theaters and I figured, you know what, maybe I'll give it some time. When it comes out on video, I'll pick it up. I'll watch it again with like a fresh perspective and I'll like it this time. I got it. I cleared my evening and I watched it and I felt about the same, really. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was all that great. I'm glad it did really well because I hope that we get to see George Miller do more of this kind of thing. He deserves it. He's a fantastic director, and I'd rather see him doing this than Happy Feet. But sorry, it just didn't work for me. And believe me, no one is more depressed than I am about that. but I know I'm in the minority. I know that people love this movie. I know it got nominated for a crap ton of awards. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that for whatever reason, I didn't particularly care for it. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was great. Okay, that's the best and honorable mention side of things. So we can get into the worst side of things. Transporter Refueled, the reboot of the Jason Statham series. How did they manage to make an action movie boring? It takes a lot of effort to make an action movie boring, but somehow they did it. Unfriended. I like the concept of this a lot, and I talk about it a little bit more in my review, but I just hated the characters. They were all despicable human beings, which I think was kind of supposed to be the point, but you had to spend an hour and a half with these awful assholes, and you didn't feel sympathy for any one of them, and you kind of wanted them to all get killed, and it was like being in a Skype chat with people who you hated for 90 minutes. The big twist at the end was not really a twist. You knew going in that the main character was going to be an asshole. I admire them for trying to do something different instead of just doing the same old found footage movie. But the writing, I don't even think there was writing. I think they kind of gave them a foundation. Okay, here's what you're going to do. And then they just kind of improv the majority of the film. But it was just a lot of crying and yelling and screaming and just annoying, just really annoying. Poltergeist, the remake of Poltergeist. Visuals that were shittier than a movie that took place 30 years ago. It was a weak retelling of the story of the original Poltergeist. So many phoned-in performances. Sam Rockwell, who I love, I think he's a great actor. You could tell that this was an absolute paycheck movie. He had no interest in this. It was just, oh God, ghosts and they're in the house and I'm scared and my family's scared. And the over-the-top, lame, redone versions of stuff that worked better in the original film. They kept trying to one-up shit and it sucked. Chappie. What the fuck is Neil Blomkamp doing? District 9 was amazing. I thought that was an absolutely terrific film. And then he did Elysium, which I thought that the concept was good and the visuals were stunning, but it was so heavy-handed with its message, it just was beating you over the head with it by the end. I was like, all right, we get it. And then I was like, okay, he's got another one coming out, Chappie. Chappie was a combination of RoboCop and Short Circuit. You had an ex-police robot and is staying with this group of criminals, which I didn't know at the time. I found out afterwards. The two main criminals were from this band called Die Antwoord or something. And I watched some of their music videos. People were sending them to me. And my God, do I not like that shit. I don't like that at all. I thought their music was terrible. And they felt really out of place. I mean, you had like Hugh Jackman and Dev Patel and Sigourney Weaver. You had all these like big actors. And then all of a sudden there's this large portion of the film where you had this robot who's interacting with these two people who I had never seen before who were really annoying. And I hated both of them. And then I started hating this fucking robot because they gave the robot bling and it started rapping. Is this the robot version of Poochie? It sucked. It absolutely, positively sucked. And I know it has its fans. I know it has a lot of people that are talking about how there's the deeper meaning within it. And it was a chore for me to get through. I got about halfway through the movie and I bailed. Then I went back and watched the rest of it. And I was like, I could have done so many more things with that time than watch this completely stupid pile of crap. I really didn't like this movie at all. However, it was not overshadowed by the worst movie of the year. You probably know what this is, The Gallows. The Gallows is one of 80 gajillion found footage movies that's been coming out lately, and I have mixed feelings about found footage because lately they've been kind of trying new things. Like, I thought that The Visit did the found footage thing really well, and then you had Unfriended, which tried at least to do something different, but it didn't work. And then you have something like The Gallows, where it was everything that's wrong with found footage. All the characters are unlikable assholes. They have the magical ability to always be shooting at the right thing at the right time. And then there's a lot of running and yelling and screaming, and they're running around with the camera, and it's shaking, and it's annoying, and it's irritating. A lot of crying and yelling, and just, ugh. The acting was about what you'd expect. It's a bunch of people being assholes to each other and yelling and screaming at every little tiny thing. The special effects were okay. The whole idea was just stupid. You had the hangman who's chasing them around and killing them with a noose, and some of them, of course, are getting killed off screen. The whole thing felt like a student film, and I had come to find out that it was a student film that got picked up by Blumhouse and then distributed. I don't know if they reshot it or if they just distributed the student film, but what a gigantic pile of garbage. And it also ended on what was a continuing trend in 2015, and that was the old Bagul scare. Avoid this movie at all costs. It's not fun. It's irritating. Everything about it stinks. It's predictable. It's annoying. There's nothing in this movie to like. You can't even really make fun of it. It's just boring, and it's a chore to get through. I guess the only thing positive I could say about it is that it's short. I'm not as mean as I thought I would be. I guess because it's been probably close to a year now since I've seen it. So it's kind of faded a little bit from memory. The only thing that still remains is the hostility and just that initial rage factor I felt after I saw it. But I don't know. I will never see this movie again. And if you haven't seen it, I recommend you don't even bother. Well, that's my best and worst of 2015. As per usual, I'm sure you have your own favorites and least favorites. That's great. I'm not saying that my list is any better or more valid than yours. I'm just saying that these are my personal favorites and least favorites of the year. I think that if you're interested, you should check out the movies I have on the positive side and completely avoid the ones on the negative side. So hopefully I gave you some movies to check out, some movies that maybe you never heard of before. Definitely give them a shot. I hope you like them. Don't see The Gallows or Chappie. Good God, don't. Anyway, that's all I got for now. I'll see you next time.